We're back in studio now with 2025 UTMB champion from New Zealand, Ruth Croft. Big round of applause. Yes.
Thanks, guys.
Look at all your fans here in the studio. Ruth, first, how are you feeling mentally, physically, emotionally after a UTMB victory?
You know, like how you feel after every miler, not the best.
Yeah.
You're always like, this is not healthy at all. Yeah.
Does it feel, I don't know, I mean, I'm sure it just takes a minute for the accomplishment to settle in, especially having been focused on this race for 2 years. Does today just feel like any other day, or is there a special significance to it?
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. It feels a bit special, I suppose. I haven't thought too much about it, to be honest.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to talk all about it. We got to squeeze this in before your procession of champions here in the streets of Chamonix. But I want to start with something you said in your finish line interview, which was, I knew I needed to start more aggressively this year. And then eventually that transitioned to just survive the night. And I want to take that in both parts. So starting with the more aggressive start, tell me about just like the consideration that went into that as you were thinking about your UTMB execution. You know, what was the thought behind, you know, pushing a little bit harder earlier on?
Yeah, so I think last year I finished really strong and I had a very positive experience, which was very different to this year. But I think I maybe left a bit in the tank. And so I worked with Joseph Miserele. I'm not sure if you know him, but he's a data scientist.
Yeah.
And so this is my third year working with him. And so we had a pacing plan and it was a bit more aggressive than last year. And so I was on pace. I think I was a couple of minutes out going into Les Chapeaux, but then just the weather was bad, and I don't do bad in cold weather.
Yeah.
Like I don't do winter,
Yeah.
so I definitely don't do snow. And so, and especially after Transvolcania, and I was like, okay, I just need to like get through the night, look after myself, and then think about racing after that. Because I think if I had kept up, I was probably going to burn too many matches. So yeah.
All right. So you just mentioned Transvolcania. So to me, it feels like it was like, you know, kind of a perfect circumstance earlier this season, DNFing at Transvolcania in a year when it was unusually cold and rainy up on the top of the volcano.
Yeah.
Now in retrospect, does it feel like that was a very important contributing factor to your victory?
You see the silver lining. Like I think if I hadn't had Transvolcania, because I don't run in bad conditions.
Yeah.
Like I live in perpetual summer.
Yeah.
So I hardly even like use a rain jacket.
Yeah.
And so, Transvolcania just taught me, like thermoregulation, which you think I would have experienced before now, considering how long I've been running. But just stuff like how to deal with nutrition when it's colder, like just the combination of gear you need to have, how it's organized in your pack and that sort of thing. I was still a mess out there, but like I was very prepared. Like I had a heavy Gore-Tex jacket. I had like cross-country ski gloves because I was like, I do not want to get cold. And so I was just making sure I was on top of that, like putting on my clothes before I got cold and that sort of thing.
Yeah, they had the camera on you in the opening miles as you were walking with your pack and putting your jacket on.
So my jacket was like flying out of my pack as well.
So coming back to what you said at the finish line, I wanted to start more aggressively, but then eventually transition to just survive the night. I Run Far posted from the top of the Col de Bonhomme. First of all, they posted a video of the men going over the top, and it was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like I was fearful they were going to have to cancel the race, especially knowing that you do Tollefson and then the pyramids right afterwards. Of course, the pyramids got taken out of the race. And then the updates from the women, it was the first time where Courtney was in the lead. And then we got an update. Ruth Croft is 2 minutes back, but the photo that they posted, you had waterproof jacket, waterproof pants, looked like your heavy gloves that you just mentioned.
I hadn't put them on quite yet. I didn't have a pair. Yeah.
All right. So basically what I'm getting at here is like, you took the time, it seemed like maybe more time than the other women in the field to suit up going up over the top. And, you know, obviously there's trade-offs psychologically. So I'd love to have you share a bit of that internal dialogue of like the balance between losing time, especially on somebody like Courtney going over the Col de Bonhomme, versus taking the extra time to stay warm.
Well, it's like it cost you your race. That's essentially what it cost me at Transvolcania. And I didn't want to DNF because of something that I had control over.
Yeah.
And so, Courtney passed me. I think it was just after La Balme. She was moving better than me, though, as well. And I'd stopped to put on my waterproof pants. Yeah.
Okay. Well, to me, just in retrospect, it felt like maybe a very significant moment, and obviously it's a small decision that for you may feel like a no-brainer. It cost me my race at Transvolcana. Obviously, I'm going to do it. But I think in the heat of the battle, especially at a race like UTMB, it's not necessarily like an easy decision to make.
But I bled a lot of time, I think, in between Lake Contamine and Courmayeur, just with taking off gloves, putting warmer gloves on, getting into my pack, and then taking my pack off, putting my jacket on. It was just I knew I was bleeding time, but then I didn't feel like they were gaining a lot of time on me at the same time. So I was like, okay, because I thought going into Courmayeur, they would have had more time on me. But I was like, okay, considering I've probably wasted 5 minutes at least. And then I went into Lake Combal and changed my battery from a head torch, but the battery must have got wet. And then my head torch went completely a K later. But luckily I had a spare head torch because I remember Tim Tollefson saying he just had one once when he did UTMB.
Yeah.
And I think it went and he didn't have a backup. And so luckily I had a backup. So thanks, Tim.
I mean, but everything you're describing right now is a very professional approach to a race and shows no sign of being rushed or panicked or focused on anything externally than your own experience on the race.
Yeah, but I think it just came down, I don't do well when it's cold. And even the day before the race when Martin and I were talking, it's just going to be who looks after themselves the best. It's not necessarily going to be the fastest person that wins.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right, so eventually Camille came past you also. So you were in third place sort of going through Courmayeur.
Yeah.
And the thing that I think is interesting as it relates to both the men's race and the women's race is that it felt like Arnuva, Grand Col Ferret were turning point moments. I actually pulled a post from Aid Station Fireball. Liam Tryon, do you know him? He's sort of a stats guy.
Yeah.
He posted Camille Bruyas is second over the top of the Grand Col Ferret, 13 hours, 23 minutes. Ruth Croft is in third, 13:26. Ruth put 3.5 minutes into Camille and nearly 5 minutes into Courtney on the climb to the Grand Col Ferret. Did it feel like that was the significant moment, or was there anything that was happening there that was starting to turn in your favor?
I also don't do well running at night. I don't have good eyesight. And so I think for me, it's always get to the daylight and then I start feeling better. Nutrition also goes better. And last year I also felt really good going up Grand Col Ferret. And so for me, as soon as daylight comes, I get in a better headspace and better mood as well. Yeah. I was in a terrible headspace going up Col de Bonhomme. Really? It was pissing down and I was like, man, what am I doing? I was I just want to be in bed right now.
Well, but eventually the momentum is clearly shifting in your favor in the field. At what point did you start to learn that you were making time back up on Camille and then eventually Courtney?
I saw Philip Ryder at the top of Grand Col Ferret and he gave me some slits.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then on the descent, I could see Camille. She was not too far ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's
the internal dialogue at that time? Because obviously you're 100K into the race, but there's still a long way to go.
I was feeling good at that point. Yeah, everything was clicking. But so I was just kind of on a bit of a hunting mode.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So take us into the moment when you passed. Well, I'd love to hear both, but what we saw on the live broadcast was you guys running downhill on the road in between La Folie and Pras de Fort.
Yeah.
And Courtney was in front. You were 45 seconds back, and then Camille was it seemed like 45 seconds or a minute behind you. So it was very exciting for us.
Yeah.
You had your poles out running downhill on the road, which I just loved. And honestly, we were talking to Jim about it yesterday, and it was it actually felt like the right thing to do.
I was surprised people, don't use their poles more going downhill.
See?
Because I feel like it saves your legs.
Yeah, of course.
So much. But maybe the road wasn't quite necessary. It worked.
The point was, clearly you were moving better than both Courtney and Camille. Take us into the moment of the pass. Obviously, we got to see it on the live broadcast, but I'd love to hear, what's going through your head there and the words that were exchanged.
Well, you always encourage. Camille had passed me, actually. Where was it? It was after the climb from Lake Cumbal and you're kind of on that balcony.
Yep.
and she didn't say anything. And we were talking yesterday, but she didn't realize it was me because I was kind of like, man, gee, she's in like
Terminator mode.
Yeah, I know, exactly. But she got into Corrine and didn't even realize that she had passed me. But I don't know, you always think you want to encourage the other person. Like you just want them to have a great race as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what's going through your head there? Because it feels like an important moment you basically have two decisions to make. Either this is my chance to get away and hit the gas, or kind of continue moving forward at the same pace. Was there anything that happened immediately after the pass?
No, I was just feeling good. I feel like I just run with my own sensations, really. Yeah. And I was feeling good, so I was just going to keep moving.
Yeah. And then kind of from there, the gap continued to widen all the way until you returned back to Chamonix.
I felt terrible after Champelag.
Okay, well, tell me about that, because from my perspective, I've never run in the lead of UTMB, obviously, but for you've been focused on this race for 2 years. You're executing perfectly. You take the lead at 130K or whatever it is, 120K. Does the significance of the moment land with you at that time, or does it just feel like another day out?
No, definitely not. I was 50K to go is still a long way, and I'm not feeling great. So it's okay, get to Triant and I'll see Martin. And then after that, I was knew that there's going to be everyone at Valmassoi. So I was just get to Valmassoi. And then was just hoping that, I was worried that Cami was going to have a surge and do what I did to Marianne last year for some payback. So, but I was just able to keep the momentum kind of going and not drop off the pace too much in the end.
So when you say you were feeling terrible, was it just general fatigue or?
Yeah, it was just, I think last year I had such a positive experience and it was very pleasant. I feel like I did a tourist lap of UTMB because I just remember it last year. I was chatting to a friend, we partnered up through the night and then this year it felt like it was business time a lot earlier in the race. Yeah. So I just had a lot more lows than what I had. I didn't really have any last year. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to dispatch your data science guy to actually analyze the splits and see whether you were actually slower than.
Oh, I felt last year I felt like I started a donkey and finished like a horse. No, and then this year I felt like it was the opposite. I just felt really wrecked by the end. Yeah.
Well, sensations, notwithstanding, you dropped down from the Flagere, UTMB champion. How did it feel to you to accomplish this amazing feat?
Yeah, it was pretty special. My family was out from New Zealand, my folks, and then my best friend from childhood who I grew up with, and he used to, we used to run together. And he's got a pretty interesting story with his own life and had cancer twice and graft-versus host. He said a stem cell transplant and graft-versus host. And so it was just really special to get to share that day with him as well. And of course, Martin's family were always there. And so they bring the party. And that's what I enjoy the most. It was just the support out there was insane. And even running with Courtney at the beginning, it's amazing the following she has.
Yeah.
It was just a perpetual cheer squad, the whole way. Yeah. So.
What was your friend's name again, who you're just mentioning now?
Josh.
And this was the first time he got to see you race? That's what Mael said on the live stream.
Yeah. It's his first time coming to a race. Yeah.
Very, very cool. I remember us talking about it in one of the first recorded conversations we ever did. But I want to ask you about some other people on your team here in a second. But first, I'm going to kind of force you to brag about yourself a little bit. But you now have won all 3 of the world majors. You joined only Xavier Thévenard to win both OCC, CCC, and UTMB. Yeah. You're the only person ever to win those 3+ Western States. Any feelings about being in this rarefied air and checking another amazing accomplishment off your bucket list?
No, not really. But I also think I think it would be a lot harder to do that triple now. Yeah. I think when I did CCC back in 2015, it definitely didn't have the deep field that the CCC this year had. And the same, I know, but I think
we're all shaking our heads in the studio here. Come on, Ruth.
It's true though. The level across all the races is now so high.
Magda Boulet finished second behind you in CCC in a year where she was undefeated.
I'm not discrediting Magda at all.
I know, of course. But my point is, winning CCC in 2015 was still not an easy thing to do. Yes, the sport has changed, but I mean, you continue to stay at the top of the sport. I mean, it's been a long career now, and you still are, you know, as consistent and high performing as ever.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Well, we won't force you to brag about yourself. All right. So tell me more about Data Science Guy, because Tom Evans came in for pre-race interview and he mentioned that he was working with him too. And he said, he said he helped Ruth last year, and immediately light bulb went off in my brain saying, oh, wow, maybe that was part of the reason why Ruth seemed to have run such a beautifully executed race in 2024 and run through the field late or run past Marianne Hogan and finish so strong like a horse, as you described. And now obviously Tom is a champion also. Share a little bit about this individual, share his name again and what value he's brought to both your training and your racing.
Yeah, so it's Joseph Mesrelais from Enduro. He's based actually here in Chamonix. And I think Martin put me onto him 3 years ago. So he did a pacing plan for me the year I DNS'd. And then I just felt going into UTMB, when I looked at the previous, like, on the female side, I think it's the same on the male side though, is like a lot of people would get to Corrine really, really quickly, and then the pace would just drop off considerably. Yeah. And I just felt like I wanted support on how to kind of execute the best race plan. And so, yeah, he helped me last year with that. And then he's been more integrated this year with my coach, Scott Johnson. But to be honest, like, I stay out of it because I don't understand it. I see the value in it, but I don't understand what they do.
But this is what champions do, right? Like, for me also, I have no understanding of like pacing and numbers, never been an analytical person, but to have the presence of mind to know that this is an area where I need to focus and where potentially maybe there's not enough attention to the way the pace drops off for a lot of the professional athletes. I don't know. I think it's a very interesting, phenomenon, especially seeing how it played out with both you and Tom this year. Yeah,
and I think also like a lot of credit to Scott Johnson as well.
Well, that's where I was going next. I'd love for you to share a little bit about Scott. We're working to set up an interview with Scott.
Oh, really? Cool.
Not here. We'll do it eventually, but I definitely want to talk to him. But just so the audience understands, you and Tom Evans also share the same running coach, Scott Johnson. Share a little bit about him, what values brought into your training. And I understand he was sort of part of the support crew last night. Martin said that on the live stream.
He was following around. So I started working with Scott 3 years ago, and I think I just have so much trust in him as a coach. I started working with him because I feel like I come from more a pure running background, and it was mainly because of the result Tom got when he got third at UTMB. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted someone to get me like mountain strong. But it's just the way he approaches training and just the structure of our training sessions and everything. I just think we're doing some different stuff to probably what other coaches in the space are doing.
Yeah. I watched your Iron Far interview and you mentioned something about doing like weighted hikes uphill to increase strength.
Yeah.
And Martin carried it downhill. As a downhill donkey, I think is what you called him.
Yeah.
Is there anything else like that might be interesting for the audience? Things that you and Scott have implemented to contribute?
We worked on my upper body strength this year in poles, because I got told that my poles just tickle the ground. So that was a focus, and just getting more efficient at using poles, because obviously I don't come from like a ski mountaineering or ski background. Yeah. So that was one thing. And like, I don't know, I look back at our training block and like our longest long run was probably 4.5 hours, but it's just like we do the same session every week on a treadmill, measuring against lactate, and the session progresses. Everything, there's no just going and doing a run for the sake of doing a run. Like kind of everything has a purpose. Wow. Yeah.
Have there been any fun conversations since the finish yesterday between you, Tom, and Scott? Just about, because it is a very unusual thing. I doubt it's ever happened where a single coach has led both champions to victory in a single UTMB.
I haven't had a moment really.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, help us secure the interview with Scott. I'd love to chat with him more about that.
I'm sure I'd be keen.
All right. A couple more things before we wind down. you've been focused on this for the last couple of years, including sort of making sacrifices, not taking golden tickets to Western States, not returning as the F1 bib, as the returning champion to Western States, probably a lot of other things. And I think one of the things that makes you special is that like, you know what you want and you're very intentional towards that goal. Is there anything there that would be fun to talk about? And especially now that you have achieved the thing and the 2 years focused on this event has come to what we could perceive as a culmination, that might be useful advice for life about just like being dialed, tuning out the noise, making sacrifices, and then actually doing the thing?
I just think you just got to do you. I don't know. I've never done well when I follow what other people do. Like I don't do well doing more than 100 miler per year.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think for me, it's just always, I know that running 100 miles is not healthy. And so I think it's, just, I want to be doing this sport like beyond my professional career. Yeah. And so I think it's, just always the way I approach training and racing is just giving my body the chance to recover, and that after a big race as well, and not trying to squeeze too much into a year. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I hesitate to even ask, but I'm sure it'll be interesting when you start to think about what's next. Like, I don't know, you've already ticked so many of these big races off like they're already on your mantle. I'm curious eventually to hear what's going to motivate you after this.
Yeah.
Because Western States was 2-year journey also. Yeah. Second, first. This was 2 years, second, first.
I would like to go back to Western States. I don't know when, but at some point I would definitely like to go back. Right. Yeah. But I'm going to take some time to think about what will happen next year. All right.
Closing then in a fun place. Tell me about the peanut butter whiskey at the finish line.
It was like, I think I was in Chamonix one year when I wasn't racing, which is a lot more fun. Yeah. And Monica, the finish line. Yes. We went out partying with her, and she had peanut butter whiskey, which I was like, that's very American. She is American. And then when I crossed the start line yesterday, I was like, we're going to have peanut butter whiskey when I get back. And she brought it to the finish line.
A very, very funny moment. And she thought you were just going to take a sip. Ruth freaking canned that thing.
It was, I was like, I don't know if I can do a shot of that right now. I was like, my blood is like never second joules right now. So I don't think putting peanut butter and whiskey on top is going to be a good idea.
Yeah, it's so fun. Well, Ruth, congratulations. It's so fun to follow you, to follow your career. And it's just amazing to see another huge victory here at UTMB.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the interview.